Hello, you're watching Qpvn News. I'm Anh Tuấn and we keep you up to date with the headlines. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm pays state visit to DPRK. Vietnam's business community, vanguard of national growth. Vietnamese POMELOS officially enter Australian market. At the invitation of General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and President of the State Affairs of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Jong-un, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, Tô Lâm, is paying a state visit to the DPRK and attending the 80th founding anniversary of the Workers' Party of Korea from October the 9th to the 11th. General Phan Van Giang, Minister of National Defense of Vietnam, joined the delegation. On the morning of October the 9th local time at Pyongyang Sports Palace, the Korean leader chaired the official welcome ceremony for General Secretary Tô Lâm and the Vietnamese high-ranking delegation. The solemn ceremony featured a 21-gun salute in honor of the Vietnamese leaders.
The Democratic People's Republic of Korea was among the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with Vietnam in 1950. This traditional friendship, nurtured by President Ho Chi Minh and President Kim Il-sung, has been carried forward by successive generations of leaders. General Secretary Tô Lâm visit reaffirms Vietnam's consistent foreign policy of valuing ties with traditional friends. Following the ceremony, talks were held at the Workers' Party headquarters in a warm, friendly, and open atmosphere. The two leaders exchanged views on each country's situation, bilateral ties, and regional and international issues of common concern. Both sides expressed delight at the strengthening of relations and agreed to elevate Vietnam Democratic People's Republic of Korea relations to a new, more practical and effective stage, contributing to national development and to peace, stability, and prosperity in the region and the world. The two sides agreed to enhance exchanges of high-level and lower-level delegations through party, state government, and parliamentary channels, as well as local cooperation to share experiences, build political trust, and promote mutual understanding. They also agreed to maintain dialogue mechanisms, explore appropriate areas of cooperation, and expand people-to-people exchanges to deepen friendship. On regional and international issues, the leaders agreed to step up coordination and support each other at multilateral forums such as the United Nations and the ASEAN Regional Forum. General Secretary Tô Lâm stressed Vietnam's support for dialogue and peaceful settlement of differences to safeguard peace and cooperation on the Korean Peninsula. He also called for the DPRK support for efforts to uphold international law, including the 1982 UNCLOS, to reduce tensions and handle disputes in line with international law.
Concluding a meeting with business representatives on October the 9th to mark Vietnamese Entrepreneurs Day, October the 13th, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính expressed his belief that Vietnamese enterprises and entrepreneurs would stand with the nation in reaching out to the world, exploring deeper into the earth and reaching higher into space, contributing to rapid and sustainable national development as Vietnam enters a new era of strength, prosperity, civilization, and happiness.
As of October the 5th, Vietnam had about 1 million active enterprises, many of which have expanded their brands to regional and global markets. At the conference, enterprises and entrepreneurs demonstrated confidence and ambition to rise in the new era, enhancing competitiveness, partnering with the government in national construction and development, pioneering digital transformation, innovation, green and knowledge-based growth for sustainable progress. Recalling the spirit of solidarity, compassion and mutual support in President Ho Chi Minh's letter to the business community 80 years ago, the Prime Minister reaffirmed the government's commitment to integrity, facilitation, action and service for enterprises and entrepreneurs. He conveyed 5 aspirations for the business community and urged them to realize the 3 pioneering roles. At the event, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and the Deputy Prime Ministers presented Nobel Awards from the party, the state and the government to exemplary entrepreneurs and enterprises for their outstanding achievements.
On October the 9th in Hanoi, General Trịnh Văn Quyết, Chairman of the General Political Department of the Vietnam People's Army, Chairman of the Ministry of National Defense Immolation and Commendation Council, chaired a meeting to consider and propose to confer and posthumously confer the title of Hero of the People's Armed Forces during the Resistance War and the renewal period.
The consideration, proposal for posthumous awarding and conferment of the title of Hero of the People's Armed Forces is carried out by agencies and units in accordance with prescribed processes and procedures. The dossiers are complete according to regulations, and the conditions for consideration and recommendation for commendation are met. The information about the award consideration has been publicly posted on the People's Army newspaper and the Ministry of National Defense e-portal. General Trịnh Văn Quyết requested the Standing Office of the Immolation and Commendation Council of the Ministry of National Defense to continue to complete the dossiers in line with the deadline. It coordinates to review and consider qualified collectives and individuals according to regulations to advise the Immolation and Commendation Council of the Ministry of National Defense.
On October the 9th, General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff, Deputy Defense Minister, had a working session with the Department of Military Force Building under the General Staff.
General Nguyễn Tân Cương emphasized that building a modern military is an important task due to the requirements of the goal of developing forces as well as the constant progress of science and technology, especially in modern warfare today. Therefore, General Nguyễn Tân Cương requested that the department needs to closely develop a plan and roadmap to advise the General Staff to report to the Central Military Commission and the Ministry of National Defense to effectively implement this goal, which is the first and foremost task. At the same time, focus on researching and giving timely and accurate advice in building the organizational structure of the entire military.
On October the 9th, Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến, Deputy Minister of National Defense, chaired a conference on preparations for upcoming defense external affairs. Planned activities include defense leaders accompanying party and state delegations abroad, the defense ministers' visit to Laos, and the annual Vietnam-Laos-Cambodia defense ministers' meeting with a joint rescue drill. The second Vietnam-Cambodia Border Defense Friendship Exchange, ADMM and ADMM Plus meetings, policy dialogues with Singapore, Cambodia, India, and the Philippines, the 36th session of the Vietnam-Russia Tropical Center Committee, and welcoming foreign defense delegations to Vietnam. Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến instructed agencies and units to finalize detailed plans, coordinate closely, ensure absolute security, and conduct all activities solemnly, thoughtfully, and in line with diplomatic principles before submitting them for approval. On October the 9th, at the Ministry of National Defense headquarters, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Trường Thắng, Deputy Minister of National Defense, received Colonel Belodushev Sergei Vladimirovich, the new defense attaché of the Russian Federation to Vietnam.
Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Trường Thắng congratulated Colonel Belodushev on his appointment and expressed confidence he would contribute effectively to strengthening bilateral defense ties. He noted that Vietnam-Russia defense cooperation has produced important results across many areas, including high-level delegation exchanges, strategic defense dialogue at the deputy ministerial level, collaboration among services, units, academies, and schools, joint research through the Vietnam-Russia Tropical Center, and coordination at multilateral defense forums. Looking ahead, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Trường Thắng called on the new attaché to work closely with the Department of Foreign Relations and other relevant agencies of the ministry to advance agreed areas of cooperation. Colonel Belodushev expressed admiration for Vietnam's proud history and affirmed his commitment to furthering defense cooperation between Russia and Vietnam in his new role.
No one should be left hungry or thirsty. This is the direction of the heads of the government and the Ministry of National Defense, as well as the determination of every officer and soldier of Thái Nguyên Armed Forces when natural disasters hit. They were working tirelessly to fight the recent storm for days, and now they are rushing to every corner of the province, seeking under every roof to help people as soon as possible.
Thái Nguyên Province, on the morning of October the 9th, the flood water is receding, but the way to the flood-hit people remains difficult. In heavily flooded areas, motorboats are the only way to commute to deliver food and supplies to people. However, trash and objects under the water pose significant risk to rescuers. No matter how difficult it was, the boats still pushed through the floodwaters, reaching every corner where people are left stranded and where volunteers could not reach. These households have been isolated for days now. They are in dire need for food, clean water and fuel for generators. These gifts only help meet their immediate needs. The presence of the military soldiers has made them feel much more at ease. I'm so grateful to the soldiers for being present and helping us in such difficult time, despite hardships and challenges. In any situation or time, we proactively overcome difficulties, organize rescue forces in the most timely manner, and closely coordinate with forces stationed in the area to help people in all possible conditions and to the best of our ability. Thái Nguyên and many other northern localities are going through challenging days, but in face of difficulties, the military always accompanies the people.
Coming up next, Vietnamese pomelos officially enter Australian market. Vietnam wins big at International Math and Science Olympiad. On October the 9th in Hanoi, the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment announced that fresh pomelos from Vietnam has been officially exported to the Australian market, one of the most fastidious markets with strict food safety standards and plant quarantine barriers in the world.
After 3 years of negotiation, analyzing pest risk, handling technical barriers on food hygiene and safety, and issues related to raw material areas, the Department of Crop Production and Protection under the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment has completed opening the market with the Australian Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries to export fresh pomelos to this market. According to the agreement, fresh pomelos exported from Vietnam to Australia must meet different requirements, including growing areas and packaging facilities assigned with codes, exported fruits not contaminated with 19 harmful organisms banned by Australia, be irradiated at an approved irradiation facility and undergoing phytosanitary inspection at the Australian port of arrival.
On October the 9th, the 22nd International Mathematics and Science Olympiad, or IMSO for short, concluded at Al-Bukhari International University, Kedah, Malaysia, after 5 days of competition. All 24 Vietnamese students competing brought home medals. In mathematics, Vietnam earned 3 golds, 7 silver, and 2 bronze medals. In science, students won 2 golds, 8 silvers, and 2 bronzes. With these results, Vietnam ranked 3rd overall, behind Singapore and Thailand. This year's IMSO gathered 23 delegations, with 400 students aged 13 and under, running from October the 5th to the 9th. Launched by Indonesia's Ministry of Education in 2003, the Olympiad aims to inspire young learners in STEM. Vietnam has participated since 2014. This is the end of the QPVN News today. Remember to watch our news again at qpvn.vn. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.